What if I told you that most men will never become high value? Not because they lack money, looks, or intelligence, but because they are addicted to approval. Let that sink in. In today's world, becoming a high-value man is marketed like a lifestyle package. Sharp suits, aesthetic physique, luxury watches, cold stares, expensive cars, social dominance. Social media sells you the highlight reel and calls it power. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Most of it is performance. Most men don't chase success because they are driven by purpose. They chase it because they are terrified of being ignored. They are not hungry for excellence. They are starving for validation. And when approval becomes your fuel, insecurity becomes your engine. You can build the body, stack the money, sharpen your communication skills, and still feel shaken when someone criticizes you. That's not confidence. That's dependency dressed in expensive clothing. Real value does not flinch when ignored. Real power does not beg to be seen. The harsh reality is this: if your mood changes when someone disrespects you, overlooks you, or disagrees with you, then your identity is still controlled by the room, and the room is unstable. A high-value man is not the loudest voice. He is the most anchored presence. Most men react quickly because they feel threatened quickly. A comment triggers them. A subtle challenge makes their heart race. They rush to defend, explain, clarify, prove. But the moment you feel compelled to prove yourself, you have already surrendered authority. Power does not rush. Strength does not panic. When you are grounded internally, you do not need to correct every misunderstanding. You observe, you assess, you respond only if necessary. That space between stimulus and response, that silent pause, is where real dominance lives. And very few men master it. Why? Because most were conditioned from childhood to seek approval. Maybe it was parental validation. Maybe it was teachers rewarding compliance. Maybe it was love that felt conditional. So you learn to perform. You learn to explain yourself quickly. You learn to manage perceptions. That survival strategy followed you into adulthood. Now you are still performing at work, in relationships, in social settings, trying to maintain an image instead of building internal solidity. And here's the brutal part. When you stop performing, some people will leave. When you stop over-explaining, when you stop chasing, when you stop reacting emotionally, the people who benefited from your insecurity will feel uncomfortable. Conversations become shorter. Invitations become fewer. You will be called distant, arrogant, even cold. But understand this: growth disrupts comfort. You are not losing connection. You are losing access to your emotional labor. Becoming high value is not glamorous. It is quiet repetition. It is discipline when no one is watching. It is choosing restraint when your ego demands retaliation. It is waking up early when motivation is absent. It is holding boundaries when it would be easier to bend. Most men want visible breakthroughs. They want applause. They want fast transformation. But real value is built in invisible moments. When you refuse temptation, when you hold silence under pressure, when you do not respond to provocation. That consistency builds gravity, and gravity is felt, not announced. When a man walks into a room with gravity, people sense stability, not noise, not flash. Stability. And stability under pressure is rare. Anyone can look composed when everything goes their way. The test comes when criticized, rejected, or misunderstood. Most men tighten up. They overcorrect. They scramble to repair image. But image lives in other people's minds. Unstable, biased, constantly shifting. Standards live within you, and a high-value man protects his standards, not his reputation. If someone misunderstands him, he evaluates calmly. Is correction necessary, or is silence stronger? That discernment is power. When you cannot be easily provoked, you cannot be easily manipulated. When praise does not inflate you and insult does not deflate you, you become difficult to control. That steadiness unsettles people who rely on emotional leverage. Because when you do not react predictably, their control disappears. Understand this clearly. Indifference to approval does not mean you stop caring about people. It means you stop outsourcing your worth to them. There is a difference. You can love deeply without seeking validation. You can lead firmly without needing applause. You can speak directly without softening truth for comfort. Respect grows from clarity, not compliance. And clarity often costs popularity. Most men negotiate their standards to maintain acceptance. They soften opinions. They suppress disagreement. They choose peace over principle. But every compromise chips away at identity. And identity, once fractured, is hard to rebuild. A high-value man would rather be respected by a few than approved by many. Because approval fluctuates, respect anchored in consistency endures. The brutal truth is this: becoming high value requires internal freedom. Freedom from the need to explain, freedom from the fear of being misunderstood, freedom from the addiction to being seen. It demands that you sit still while your ego screams for defense. It forces you to confront insecurities you once masked with achievements. It will feel lonely at times. It will feel inconvenient. It will feel uncomfortable. But discomfort is not weakness. It is the training ground for self-control. And self-control, not charisma, defines true strength. When your mood no longer depends on outcomes, when your peace is not shaken by opinions, when your standards remain firm under pressure, you become anchored. And an anchored man does not chase attention. He attracts respect. Not because he demands it, not because he performs for it, but because stability under pressure is rare, and rarity creates value. So stop chasing applause. Stop performing power. Stop reacting to every spark of tension. Build discipline in silence. Guard your standards. Master your responses. Because in the end, being high value is not about being admired. It is about being unshaken. And the moment you no longer need validation to feel worthy, you become something far more powerful than impressive. You become free.